Namaste, my fellow truth seeker. This is my first time doing this. I feel it is my calling to share with the information, the knowledge, the wisdom that I have gathered in my lifetime to share with you all, especially the last half year of my life, which has been the greatest and will probably always be the greatest turmoil that I've ever gone through, a limbo of sorts. I feel it is invaluable and the most purposeful thing I can do to share what I may be able to teach whomever this video reaches. And thank you for you, and thank you for just your God-given being. I want to affirm to you that God is very real. And I learned this through love, through unconditional love. With love, there comes much pain. I used to be someone who thought he had the world at his, at his hands. The world was my oyster, is what I meant to say. I was able to experience love on this earth, and the scenario and situation of how it was able to even be, to begin with in the first place, to have lasted as long as it did. I didn't even really truly know what unconditional love was. I thought I had it, and I always understood what it was, but I didn't until the last few months really realize that I experienced it and have it within me. And there's nothing more purposeful than when you're on this realm, this plane, this planet, this dimension, than to share love. Nothing is as fulfilling, as enriching as a feeling than just simple, wholehearted, down to earth, human to human love. A lot of things get misconstrued and miscommunicated and misguided for everyone's ability to love, and that starts with self-love. That starts with proper guidance and parenting, and if our parents didn't have good parents, didn't teach them how to do that, then you get the picture. We have to be the ones to set the new paradigm and example for our young men of this generation. I don't even really want to do this. Like, I feel kind of uncomfortable. But, because of what I've been going through and how I've been feeling and how, I've been at the emotional state where, like, I feel like I'm ready to die and I would be okay with everything that has happened in my life. I would feel complete enough to accept death. But at the same time, I feel more alive and happy than ever. I am I am grateful for everything. I am blessed to have the life that I have. Heavenly Father and Earthly Mother, thank you for everything that this life has to offer. So, to all of you that I may be a conduit, a messenger to, I really just want to affirm that God is very real. There's very few things on this planet that are actually real. And, I mean, even in just by saying that, is is God on this planet, and would that make him real because he's on this planet, or is he not on this planet, and is that what makes him real or not, because he's not associated with all these things that humanity, quote unquote, is associated with, that I've been partially, everybody has to some extent been associated with. The Matrix, whatever you want to call it, the society engineered and portrayed to us in its ideals, and the machinations of how our egos are formed, and it all correlates one or another. I plan to have several topics planned to discuss on further. That is one of them. But just for this introduction, I've been crying off and on for, it's been like half a year almost, which is maybe more like 4 or 5 months, but still, it's it's something I never thought I would be going through. God makes the arrogant feel humility. I've always been open to the idea and concept of God being in my life, but I've never. I don't want to say this, but just to make it more simplified, I've never been actually convicted into believing. I've always accepted the higher purpose, the divine, there's much more to all this that we don't see with just our physical eyes. I've understood that. I believe angels and demons are real and everything, but I've been at such a point where the only comfort I've been able to get is through God and through the unconditional love that He infinitely can provide. And even just saying it now, it's the only thing making me okay and feel strong, because part of me, there's a very large part of me, a very hurt part of me that wants to just give in to all these things that tempt us and bring us away from what we were born to be as chosen ones, as anointed ones. I am very dangerous, and so are all of you that choose to be within your own skin and just happy to live your life. It doesn't even matter what you do. If you could be sitting all day at home with your parents, whatever scenario, like what makes you a loser or not is not the monopoly ideals of their fabricated fucking money that does come from trees. It's funny that they say that money doesn't grow on trees, but to them it may as well do. They can go and print the stuff. The world is yeah, I will do better and better each video with formulating my words and you know, being more concise with what I want to say and deliver, but please just tap into my energy and my vibration in all of this. And I am not saying this to whoever this reaches, who it's meant to reach. I don't care if this gets only 5 views or whatever. That's one of the things that always kind of stopped me from doing this kind of thing sooner or being on social media. I'm not really on social media. I've had disdain for it since 2018. I've not watched porn since 2018. I'm very done with any kind of like deviation or fucking just waste of energy, you know, just any of that. There's the powers that be want that. Powers that be want us dehumanized one way or another, want us to absolutely devalue ourselves as God-fearing men and women. The only way that the powers can even do anything is by us undoing ourselves, I found out. They depend on that. You can look at one of the biggest, most well-known examples in Darth Vader and Anakin. He is essentially another chosen one, anointed one, a Christ-like figure, right? But the thing that happened to him, and it's kind of happening sort of similar to me, it's a much more personal scheme as to a grand scheme, but it's still the same aspect of attachment and fear and all these things that the Jedi tell you that if you are on the true path, a anointed path, you cannot let these earthly things bind you and keep you bound on earth. That is what takes you away from God, is all these people that are in love with their ego, their, you know, earthly attachments. With Anakin, it all started with, you know, his attachment to his mother. And when he lost his mother, instead of having acceptance, God-fearing acceptance, right? A purpose, being seen in everything. Instead of that, right? He acts on his feelings. He feeds his feelings, his earthly-based emotions. And all it did was hurt himself and everybody around him. So, if you know the story, you know what happens next. He is attached to his beloved, Padme, the mother of the Skywalker twins, and See, the powers that be, they hone in on this fear. They hone in on us undoing ourselves. So, you know, we are all, in a sense, in Anakin Skywalker, potentially one man's potential to impact the world. One man can do so fucking much. Truthfully, one man can build an entire forest, grow an entire forest. If he goes and plants hundreds of trees, one man can fucking, you know, there's all kinds of things that blow my mind of what humans are capable of doing and inventing, and, you know, with science, physicality, everything. We're superhuman, really. Speaking on the same story and how other aspects about it correlate to the everyday man, right? Is one thing that we have to do when we get into these modes of acting on trauma are to go to God. And the way to do that in a insightful way is to reach in and nourish your inner child that is neglected, because everyone's inner child needs affection, it needs nourishment, it needs well, everyone's is different, everyone's upbringing is different. So in other words, you have to ask what your inner child needs. See, with Anakin, he didn't do that. And when a man doesn't do that, right, the ego becomes the man, the shell, Vader's suit, takes over the soul. He becomes a weapon to the system, a decorated slave. You know, it's crazy because, you know, we all do this kind of thing for just a sense of purpose, a sense of validation for our existence. We do all these kinds of things. We sell our soul. We let people use us like a Darth Sidious used Anakin. He lost everything by feeding into his fears, so why not be whipped around, you know? It was the only other thing that could make him feel purposeful at that point. It's so tragic and sad in a way, and so that's kind of similar to an extent of what I've been going through in terms of just not having acceptance with things, living in the shoulda, woulda, couldas, or believing in my power to control my life too much, believing I can always do something, as to having God-fearing acceptance, a divine plan, your redirection on your mission. I think for the time being, I'm going to leave it at that. if you've actually made it this far and watched, just know that this is only the beginning. I have the powers that be should be afraid of me, and all of you, my fellow God-fearing warriors, you should feel that about yourself too. You should have belief that they're scared of what you're able to do and what you're able to convey. You're all much, much, much more powerful than you could ever realize. Like I said, one man can do so much. Anakin could have saved the galaxy, but instead he let himself be puppeteered to be the galaxy's ultimate weapon. So, I think you get the picture. I am grateful to every one of you. I will be only doing better. Keep in touch.